John.
It's a race.
We are here again. The first thing I want to say is, why did you want to have this conversation with me?
I think we had one before that was like, I personally got a lot of feedback on like how insightful it was about the Barnet League and like my general sort of opinion. That was on like your channel. That was like a bit of a live stream one. But obviously it became a bit multiple choice from people that came in and asked questions. So yeah, I suppose it was more just to, to obviously talk about the league. We've launched Vets, which obviously falls right into your catchment. So yeah, just to like, I've been approached about doing other podcasts in the past and stuff, but never really got around to doing it for one reason or another. And then obviously we've been going back and forth for like 6 months now. So I was just like, look, listen, book a studio and tell me where to be. And that's exactly what you did. So fair play. Here we are.
Yeah, no, I've got to shout you out because you've been actively DMing me. So, and you are one of the few people who are actively in the space, who are actually in the mud. I've actually called you like the grassroots, Eddie Hearn.
I don't know about that. I wish I had his money, but yeah. And like credit to you as well. Like I think there's a lot of platforms out there that are just about, that everyone's got their own niche, but some of them are probably a bit more clickbaity than others. So I trust having the conversation with you and probably a select few out there as well. But yeah, mainly just, like I said, mainly just to talk about the league. And like, I mean, we do some great stuff, and I don't think it necessarily gets the recognition at grassroots level or even at like county FA or FA level. So, to sort of raise a bit of awareness about some of the good stuff the league's done, who better to have a conversation with?
So, why do you think you are known as a disruptor in grassroots? And why do you think people dislike you?
Me personally, I don't know. It's nothing to not like. Listen, at the end of the day, football's football. The side of me that people don't see is that, listen, I've got 3 kids. I've got a long-term partner that I've been with for years that puts up with, Sophie. She puts up with a hell of a lot when it comes to this grassroots malarkey, because it takes up a lot of your time. But those people that know me will I hope attest to the fact that I ain't like a nasty person. I don't hold grudges, and I'm not out to get people. I just love what I do in the sense of being involved in grassroots and running running the largest league in North London, and facilitating football for I think it's over 4,000 registered players we've got at the minute. I know you're big on your mental health. Like a couple of years ago, I was going through a bit of a rough time, various things going on in my personal life, and I put up something on Instagram, put up a story, and I had a club. Obviously, people follow you over the years and whatever. I had a club reach out and say it was something word for word. I can't remember what it said, but it was something along the lines of, "Thank you for providing, grassroots football to over X amount of people on a Sunday morning, allowing us the opportunity to basically get ourselves in a good headspace and create memories with our friends." And that really put it in perspective for me. Like I'd never really looked at it like that before. I was just like, I'm a league secretary of a league. But that was one of the biggest compliments I've ever had. That was in terms of like recognition. I get like tongue-in-cheek ones from you, like the grassroots Eddie Hearn, but like stuff like that, it goes a long way. And yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think disrupt is the right word. I think I enjoy what I do. I put a lot of time and energy and effort into it, and naturally along the way, people are going to form an opinion of you. But those people that know me know the truth, and those people that don't, they're entitled to their opinion. That's the way I see it. So. Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually been called a disruptor, but people must have said that to you.
Yeah. Well, because and I'm saying a disruptor in a kind of positive light,
right?
Someone who kind of wants to create something new, almost like a trailblazer, like in certain things. So literally, I'm not saying a disruptor in a negative connotation.
Right, I thought it was negative.
No,
coming after me.
No.
Yeah, look, listen, I think like just some examples like of the league. Like for example, we used to, when I first joined the league, like as a player, like I'm talking like 2012 maybe. I used to run my own team over Hackney Marshes. I folded by Christmas. A friend of mine basically said, "Look, listen, why don't you come and play for, Highgate?" Which I did. Turn up, I'm a bit of a neek when it comes to stats. Like I remember making my debut in a double header on a cold, wet January against a team called AC Finchley, where a guy called Anthony Manzi was playing, who now runs AC Finchley. Like so, all these years later, he's running the club, and I'm the league secretary. And yeah, like that's obviously how I got into the Barnet League, and then obviously I, on and off for about 8 years. I played, well, longer than that. I played for Highgate Albion for a while, either managed a team or played for a team called Barnet Hearts in the league as well. And I've also been signed to a team called Camden Town Athletic and Camden Lock over the last couple of years since leaving Highgate. Obviously, didn't really have anything to do with grassroots football because I went off and worked abroad and stuff. But yeah, like I enjoy the league, and I think there's been some of the referees that are, obviously naturally I'm a committee member now. Some of the referees that used to referee me in my early days, we have a bit of a rapport about, the very different John Eager to what I was then to what I am now, sort of thing. And yeah, like if you'd asked me 5-6 years ago, oh, do you think you'd be the league secretary? I would have laughed. I literally only joined the committee to help out with the social media. It was non-existent. That was why I initially got involved. And it's come on leaps and bounds to the point where we've got someone else that basically, a guy called Ilias, that does a really good job, films all of our games and stuff. So now I sort of just do more like the admin sort of stuff, the fixtures, helping out with referee appointments, etc., etc. So yeah. That's a bit of a backstory about like of how I got involved in the league, I suppose.
And do you still play now?
No, like I did. I'm signed to a team called Camden Lock at the minute. I've played 2 games all season.
Appalling. That's appalling.
But I did my MCL in I did my MCL in October. And I've only I'm not having surgery or anything. I've literally only just started playing 5-a-side again and stuff. So, and let's absolutely set the record straight. I am not a very good footballer. So, as I'm constantly reminded by like some of my pals, stick to what you know, sort of thing, like the admin sort of thing. But yeah, that's essentially how I got involved in the league. Like obviously everything snowballs really. Like if it weren't for a phone call from a friend of mine called, JP, who sort of said, "Oh, like come play for us, come play with us." Went over, played. Obviously then ended up joining the committee of social media, like 2019 odd. Then obviously ended up becoming league secretary during COVID, and then just from there sort of, been involved in the league, I suppose.
Because we met at one of Graham's finals.
Yeah, Southern Sunday.
Yeah, Southern Sunday.
At Collier's Wood.
Collier's Wood.
Yeah. That's where we met for the first time. And like I said, like I've there's some great people involved in Grassroots. Obviously, Jace Virillo from Westfart and Graham from Southern Sunday. Like I've got a really good relationship with them guys, and they've like been league secretaries for like 10 odd years. So like I lean on them for a lot of support, especially coming out of COVID. Like Graham took the time to have like a Teams call with me, and like we went over a few things, and I've like borrowed quite a few of their ideas. Like our league only ever used to have like 2 cups, like in the whole league, and now we've got like divisional cups and main cups. So we've sort of like expanded things. And that goes back to my point. Like when I first started playing in the league, I think there was only 3 divisions, and now we're at 8 and 2 vets. So like it's been a massive, like expansion sort of the league, like generic sort of growth. There's like us, the Maccabi League, the Turkish League, and the Edmonton League in North London. So there's only really 4 leagues, but obviously we cover a greater catchment area than the others. But yeah, I think leaning on people for advice and guidance, and that's why I went down to that cup final, the one where we, where we met. Like I went down to see how Graham runs his cup finals, borrowed a load of ideas, and implemented them. And I think it's that best practice piece. You go in a restaurant, you like the service, you go back. So if you can, replicate that and and sort of create a memorable experience for teams, players, officials, etc., referees. You know, like as a league, we're one of the only ones in the country that films games. I think I counted, last year we did 61 odd. You know, I think on total we filmed over 240 grassroots games. It was really well done. So we added commentary after a year of doing it. But that's not just like the players obviously get a great memory out of that. The winning team gets a great memory out of it. But like in terms of like when we talk about grassroots referee development, we've got referees that they like having their games filmed neutrally by a league with neutral commentary, so that, and then they can watch back their performance and sort of like, I know examples speaking to some people that it's been used in like development group chats at county FA level and stuff like that, which is good because obviously you post the clip, you go, we see it all the time now. Is this a red? Is this a yellow? I think you've posted some up before. And you get that engagement of, because it's an opinion, but the referee on the day has the opportunity to watch it back and see what it's like in a neutral light. So yeah, that's, I think best practice is key.
Yeah.
So
what do you think about the state and the level of refereeing at Saturday and Sunday league level?
I have absolutely no knowledge of Saturday league level. I'm not going to lie. So I can't really answer that. But Sunday league level, I think we as a league have been proactive. So we fund referee courses. So if you do, I think it's 5 or 10 games, we will reimburse you for your fee. But we've had some great referees come through our league in recent years. Just to give some of the, like Dimitri Anastasiou runs a channel called Ref World. A real great insight into refereeing. Whether it's testing equipment or like the day-to-day like sort of stuff of like what you put in your bag, and we've got people like that I think refereeing's, it's never going to be the most glamorous role in the world, but we've got people like him that are shining a spotlight on the positives of it. And we've got other referees like Anthony Brown and young up and coming refs that have that are now refereeing on like the panel of the Islip Midweek League, which is like a select invite only league for promotion candidates. So I think listen, naturally there's always gonna be a difference in opinion. I think the hardest thing about refereeing at grassroots is very rarely do you have linos or assistants. So it's I was talking to Anthony Brown. He was being assessed by an assessor, and he asked for assistance because we'd had a few games called off, and if they were available, could they do it? So we put the assistants on the game, and he was explaining to me that, and I didn't really realise this from a referee perspective, but he was explaining to me that he could run a certain way, like do diagonal runs and be smart with where his positioning was on the pitch, because he had linos or assistant referees to sort of help him out, rather than having to sort of judge it himself. And I never, and I think that's the sort of stuff that gets underlooked. It's a tough gig. Listen, there's some great referees out there. There's some not so great jobs, but like I read a lot of the stuff that Ref Support UK put out there, Martin Cassidy, and have a go at it. If you're going to have an opinion on it, be brave enough to go and do the course, pick up a whistle, and go out there and referee a Sunday league match. There's that clip they did on Sky Sports with Carragher and Neville doing this, and it even that proved that it's not, they talk about it week in, week out. It's not as easy as it looks. And listen, I went and did the course. I referee when we're short. It ain't fun. It ain't enjoyable.
You don't like it at all?
Nah, it's like if we're short, like for example, had a team of ours that the referee no-showed for no reason, for some reason, sorry, and he rang me up and he said, "Oh, we knew I was local in North London because where my parents live," and he said, "Will you come and referee a game? Like, will you come and do my Middlesex Premier Cup round 1 game or whatever?" And I was like, "Not really." So, but I turned up and I did it. And to be fair, this geezer, I've known him a very long time now, and I'm not like I'm no great ref. It's a tough gig. And he basically turned around and said to me like I was one of the best refs he's had all year, purely because I kept up with play, I communicated my decisions, and if I got it wrong, I admitted it. And I think it's just that element of accountability. But like, I think refereeing's in a good place. I'll criticise the county FAs more than most, because obviously from a league secretary point of view, you probably encounter the mechanisms of Grassroots more than most. But in our patch in North London, so Middlesex, AFA, and London, they do like these. I don't know if not to call them sessions or I don't know the correct word for them, but they basically put together like a referee evening, and they have like a special guest. So they had Howard Webb not long ago, and they do stuff like that. I think it's called a mastermind. I think they call it mastermind or something like that. And I think that's good. That like it's giving the referees, you know, a chance. And our league, in terms of, because of people like Dimitri, like sort of Refs World doing stuff like that, and the fact that we film games, you know, I'm very good friends with a Premier League assistant referee. He runs a league up in Barnsley, Scott Ledger. He came down and watched one of our like sort of championship games where it was a title decider, and he met the officials beforehand. Premier League referee, did Crystal Palace Arsenal the day before, or Arsenal Crystal Palace, should I say? It was at the Emirates, and then he's at Enfield Playing Fields the next day, like taking the time to speak to, you know, one of the referees is 16, 17, Duran, and he took the time to talk to him, give him a bit of. Dimitri was on the game, had a chat with him. We had the other assistant, Oliver, because obviously we had some because that was a main game. We made sure we had some assistants on it, and I wasn't sure if he was going to come, so I didn't tell the guys. And then he had a chat with him beforehand, after, and you know, he was really impressed with the standard of football, the standard of officiating. So yeah, in short, it's no easy gig. You're gonna get the good, you're gonna get the bad, you're gonna get the ugly. But unless you're brave enough to pick up the whistle, I don't really think you can have an opinion on it. And it's very easy. Like, I refereed a game that was on VO, and it was like 14-2 or something like that. It was a ridiculous scoreline. The manager of one of the teams has actually become a good friend of mine, and he sent me back some of the clips. And I'd made a couple in a 14-2 game. I think like 10-2. I was like, I want to go home now. It's raining. But he sent me some clips, and I was like, nah, that weren't offside. Like, I'm calling offside, like, you know, because you're making a judgment. You haven't got club assistants because you made that decision. So you're calling the line yourself, and these are miles on. So that's another thing. Some refs, they either want the club assistants or they don't. I think sometimes they can cause more hassle than they're worth, because some teams will naturally just pick up the flag and just sort of start flagging offside for everything. So yeah, it ain't easy, and I think everything looks a bit worse on camera. You know.
Yeah,
people like you go out there with your camera and you catch some shockers, and the next thing you know, the referee's under the cosh having to. He just turned up to referee a game at grassroots level.
But you know, like the strangest thing, because I don't know if you know that I'm a ref.
Yeah, I knew you were qualified.
Yeah, so literally, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, because
I still play, and again, I think it's more common sense than anything else.
Yeah, of course.
You know, players just, as you said before, it's communication's key. Like, good decision, bad decision, they still want you as a referee, as an official, to actually explain, and literally not to have like a mother's meeting, but you know, again, just explain why you've. I think that's the most. I think that's most referees that I've encountered, like just put up this like hostile barrier for some reason. Like, I think some have played the game and some haven't. And those, like Dimitri, for example, I don't want to keep shouting him out, but he's played the game. Like, he's won the London Cup, and then he's decided for whatever reason that he wants to go into refereeing. We got another example, a guy called Chris Etherio. He used to run a team called Brotherhood in our league. He went and done the referee course while he was still managing last year, knowing the team was going to fold at the end of the year. And he's absolutely like, he's smashing it. Like, but I think because he's played the game and he's managed, he knows how to communicate with people. He knows how to, you know, he knows it from both perspectives, sort of thing. And I think that's key. There aren't enough players that are going into refereeing now. And I think that's definitely like a barrier that needs to be broken down. Yeah. Like, I think there's been ideas before about like academy players doing the referee course and going refereeing, because it's a bit like, you know, I used to work in hospitality, right? I always say to people, everyone should do at least one shift behind a bar on a busy New Year's Eve. And then you'll appreciate when you're getting the clicking fingers and, you know, like everything's going wrong and, you know, people slower drinks, etc., etc. That's the way I look at refereeing now. Everyone should have a go. Like, I've done it. I've done like 18 games. I've only ever done the Barnet League. I've helped out on Saturdays. I've got absolutely no interest in going through the motions of, you know, actually doing it.
I'm qualified, and I'll always be there as a filler gap for it. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's a tough gig. It's a real tough gig. I remember a friend of mine, Dario, when the league was expanding, he was the referee secretary, and he basically, him and Jamal at a cup final, Jamal Horn from London FA, I basically said, "Oh, how hard can it be?" And Jamal went, "Do the course." And I was like, all right then. So I went and done the course under Jamal, and I remember refereeing my first game, and I was like, mate, this ain't easy. But Dario made a valid point at the time. He said, there ain't enough that, it's all well and good growing the league, but we ain't got enough refs. And I'm like,
that's the thing.
True. So like as a league, we accommodated, started doing afternoon kickoffs and stuff like that. And I think we were one of the first leagues to, in North London at least, to start looking at, well, how can we, there's a gap in the market here. Let's sort of do some afternoon kickoffs, then we can double up on the refs, and it solves a problem. But tough gig. No, like if you stood at final whistle, if you went in both teams' changing rooms and you said to him, right, we're going to do a referee course right now, I'd be interested to see how many people in both changing rooms, management and coaching and players, would turn around and go, yeah, I'll go and do the course. Because I bet it'd be a very slim, very slim.
Would you be prepared to raise the referee's fee?
We did. So I think this is where a lot of leagues are frustrated with referees. So we went from 35 to 40 3 years ago. And then we went from 40 to 50 2 years ago. So we've, I think the referee fee was £35 for about 8, 9, 10 years. And then we've moved it along quite quickly. But I think the problem is that there are the pocket money ones out there that they just want to turn up, do 2 games, get some easy money and go home. And then they don't do their admin or their compliance or care enough about the refereeing element of it, which is frustrating and disappointing because, we've obviously increased the fee to attract better quality officials. And then you've got some referees that are like, well, I'm not going there. I'm like, but you're getting paid an extra £10 to help out with, cost of living, travel, etc., etc. So get a bus 35 minutes up the road to referee a game. Some of them just want it easy and on their doorstep. So yeah, like we've raised the fee already. I don't think it'd be fair on the clubs if you raised it any more than 50, because I think clubs have got rising costs. League fees, pitch costs, affiliation, sanctioning. So we've made that jump. With the referee fee already. So yeah, I can't envision us going much higher. Okay. It's £25 per team. Okay. They split the cost on the day. So yeah, that's something we've already looked at.
Okay. You've briefly spoken about the Barnet League. 8 divisions.
Yeah.
2 vets, East and West. I would love to get your opinion why the Barnet League is different from any other league across London.
I'll give you an example, right? I think I touched upon it earlier. Like last season, I went to the SFL playoff final at Bromley.
And it's something that we will definitely talk about later on.
So I went there. I went to a Southern Sunday final at Met Police. Mm-hmm. I went to a Westford final, which was at VCD. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I run my own cup finals. I went to the London Cup final because of Highgate and Olympia being in the final. And I went to the Middlesex final because of Heavy Hitters and Highgate being in the final. So I went, I had a look at how people did things, and I learned from it. Like, for example, the playoff concept from the SFL, we've introduced to the vets. So you finish in the top 4 and you go into like a Super Bowl sort of East and Western. So you can win your league, and then obviously we've got the Vets Cup, but then there's an incentive to go into the playoffs and basically like finish on the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. We've called it the Veterans Playoffs, but there's obviously scope for the name to change and stuff like that. And like it goes back to that best practice piece. I think, like listen to what the clubs are telling you, like, understand what they want, give them value for money, give them the opportunity to, with 8 open age divisions and 2 vets divisions, ultimately you're only going to get 10 divisional winners that are going to win the league out of all them teams. So when you have cups, it opens it up to sort of everyone having the opportunity to win something. And ultimately, listen, it's all in good saying taking part counts and all of that. But people want to win. They want to have a trophy. They want to have that day out. And I say this time and time again to the committee. I say, I do not care who wins the league. It does not bother me in the slightest. You know, it's the cup final day. It's the big day out when you see someone walking out with their kids or having the photo with their missus and their kids at the end. Or, we had an example last year where we had three brothers and the dad was the manager and his three sons, that were involved in a cup final that won. We got a photo of them at the end. The chairman of the club that has been going for 30 years, holding a trophy, all of that sort of stuff. And I think over the years we've, picked up some good stuff. We get some great medals from Cheshunt Trophies in Cheshunt. We started being a bit more brand orientated with like banners and stuff like that. We do a fair bit of recognition, player of the year, manager of the year, etc., etc. Obviously, normally chosen by the committee, but we've sort of put some things on the table. That's new the last 3 years. So yeah, I think it's just that recognition piece and just like being active on the socials. Like we've started, I miss Mitu. For those people out there that use Mitu.
That's back in the day.
I think Mitu was quality, but full time certainly has helped be able to track. I think we've got 5 active players that have scored over 100 goals in the Barnet League, and they get like a massive golden boot with 100 goals on it. So we've got like Garrow Heath just joined the 100 club. He plays for Armenian Youth. He scored 100 goals in 3 or 4 seasons. Aaron Madison plays for Whetstone FC. He's done it. Elliot McGovern's done it. Got Godfrey Burko, who he scored over 200. He's been with the league since 2009. So we went through and looked at Mitu's stats and combined them all and worked out that he'd scored over 200 because obviously back in the day no one really updated Mitu and stuff like that. But what was around was Facebook and Twitter. So we trawled through the old club's Twitter and Facebook accounts, added it all up. And then, like we've got Alan Callahan that's just, he's scored over 100 goals in the Barnet League, scored 50 in all competitions for Highgate Freeze last year. So they get a big, massive golden boot. And it's look, listen, the likelihood is that'll be on the shelf for a few years and then end up in a loft. And then in 30 years, 40 years time, it's nice memorabilia, So yeah, I think it's just about creating, I used to work for a bar group and they had this thing called Ace and it was amazing customer experience. And I think that's, at the end of the day, I think that's what the clubs are. Like, as much as they are your clubs, they're your customers as well. They're the ones paying their league fees. They pay their fines when they make a mistake and they get fined, rightfully so, for not keeping up with their admin. That money that goes into them fines should go back into doing something for them. A few years ago, we bought everyone some first aid kits. So yeah, I just think it's, I think that's a crucial part of it. And we do a lot of shout outs on Instagram when people scored the 100 goals and stuff like that. So yeah.
You talk about social media and again you are sorry, very active regarding putting out the Barnet League on socials. And one thing I have to say, I absolutely love the production of your videos for the Barnet League. I honestly and again it's like not just the video production, it's the commentary.
Yeah.
It just adds a different spice to it.
Yeah, I think it's something different to what's not been done before. So like we don't really go down like the sort of clickbaity sort of titles and stuff like that. We try and keep it a bit more professional. But we've got a guy called Ilyas Beladad who does a fantastic job. He's basically done most of our content since probably maybe the middle of the first season we were doing it. Films all the cup finals, does all the cheat sheets for the commentators. We're very fortunate that Barry Swain from TalkSport bought into the league, and he does the majority of our commentary. And that goes back to like what we were saying earlier, like as like a committee member, like I try and like when teams are in Middlesex or London or whatever finals, I try and go and watch them wherever. I followed Highgate Albion all the way up to Solihull Moors for the semi-final against Mayfair 2 years ago, the year they reached the final. And I remember arriving late. I had my partner, and my 2 kids with me at the time, and we were late, and it was like we got there, and I said to the geezer, "What's the score?" And they were like 2-0 down or something in the first 15 minutes, right? Watching the game 2-0. It's a long way to go, Birmingham, to watch. Obviously I've had connections to Highgate, and obviously they're a team in my league. But then obviously I've known the captain, Ian Maitland, since I was 19. I went on tour with Highgate to Holland. So I've had a long-term relationship with him, like known him my vast majority of my adult life. Anyway, he pops up with a 90-30. I don't know if you've ever seen the clip. He pops up with a 95th minute winner to win 3-2. But you know what makes it? Exactly what you just said, the commentary. Barry Swain from TalkSport, that game was an unbelievable game of football. To come back from 2-0 down in a national semi-final and win 3-2 was incredible. But we're very fortunate that we've got a pool of commentators that sort of tap into it. And like I said, the refs love it because it's neutral. It's not like some of the like YouTube stuff out there where they sort of dig the referees out, I suppose. It's just how they would say it on TV. It's a bit like that might have been a red, but the referee's gone for a yellow, and it's very it's very subjective and very neutral, so it doesn't sort of throw them under the bus, I suppose. And that's something that's been in place for the last couple of years, which is good. And listen, I played for a team called Camden Town Athletic in a semi-final. We lost quite badly. But like even me, I got a bit of a buzz out of my name being read out in the game that was filmed, and for some people that's never going to happen. This is why, going back to the cup finals, I throw everything into making them, alongside the rest of the committee, I throw everything into making them as good as possible. Because some of the grounds we use, like we've used Wingate and Finchley, Haringey Borough, Cockfosters, Hendon, some decent Isthmian grounds. Potter's Bar is the main one we use, but some of these players, these average sort of Sunday league players, are never going to have the opportunity to play at a step-free ground. We had one at Cheshunt last year, midweek on a Friday night. They were National League South at the time. It's decent. We got all the branding in the background, Vanarama and all that. So yeah, like it, and then the commentary just sort of finishes it off. He reads out all the names beforehand, says the names when they're playing. So yeah, it's brilliant, and like I can't thank Barry enough, because it's not many people that would find time in their schedule to chuck together a bit of a commentary, 25-minute highlights or whatever it is. So yeah.
Highgate Albion, they what's
Go on.
Okay. Highgate Albion won the Nationals.
No.
Sorry, London Cup.
Got to the final of the Nationals.
Got the final and got beat by Beatties.
Beatties, they lost to them, yeah.
Highgate Albion now in the SFL.
Yeah. Their first... Highgate left... They had 4 teams in the league. Then the main team went to SFL. So in accordance with league rules, the other teams all had to step up. So we've still got Highgate Albion first, Highgate Albion seconds, Highgate Albion thirds, and they've got Highgate Albion SFL. But the reality is the Highgate Albion first that everyone knows and talks about, they've gone to the SFL, which shows why the current Highgate Albion first are probably not competing for top spot at the minute in our league, because the marquee team's gone to the SFL, which I get.
Yeah, and actually that's what I wanted to ask you. I mean, what's the future of Highgate right now? And like if you was still, I'd say, part of the management structure at Highgate, what's the one thing that you would want to change?
Well, look, I've not been a part of the club for 2 years. So one of the main reasons was basically I just got sick and tired of people going, oh, Highgate are only winning because of John on the committee. And if anyone thinks that I wake up and put in all the hard work week in, week out, year on year, for one team to win at Sunday league level, whether it's the league or the cups or whatever, they need to take a long hard look at themselves, because no one would do that just for one team to win. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy. So that's one of the main reasons I stepped away.
Could you see like there was a bit of conflict of interest though?
Not really, because this, like for example, I'll give you an example. John Motson, passed away last year. He was our president. He played for a team in our league in the 60s and 70s called Roving Reporters, who are still with us today. him and the other people that went on to, play for that league, roving reporters were obviously a bunch of reporters from I think it was the Barnet Press newspaper. We had a guy called Roger Jones, who we've also named the cup after. He went on to become our chairman. This is in the 90s and the 2000s, etc., and referee secretary. The reality is most of the volunteers from within leagues normally come from a club affiliated background. So that's obviously why I got involved. I initially got involved in a very fluffy role, social media, and then obviously I've gone on to become league secretary. But the thing that people don't realise is I'm sat around a table with 4, 5, 6 other people. So there's no opportunity for any sort of conflict, because if there was an occasion where I wanted to get involved in something when I was associated to do with Highgate, I'd have to recuse myself because the others wouldn't let me vote even if I wanted to. And that's how it works. Those people that haven't really been around committees. So yeah, like I can understand why people might think there's a conflict of interest, but I can assure you there wasn't. Like, I'll give you an example. There's a guy called, I spoke about him earlier, a guy called Will Pearpoint, runs a team called Park Royals. They're folding at the end of the year. I got so sick and tired of, the constant comments about me being on the committees or Highgate were winning, etc., etc. He was like their challengers at one point, Park Royals in the league. So I said, come join the committee, and he did. So I gave him and I asked him and a couple of other people that were going for titles and cups of Highgate to join the committee. So then there was someone neutral on the inside that also had a club affiliation, that if there was anything untoward, they'd raise it. And I can guarantee you now they haven't, because there wasn't. I just think it's one of them things that sort of gets out of hand a little bit. But going back to your question, listen, I'm out of the loop. I don't really, I went and watched a recent Highgate national game against, I think it was London. And it was just nice to be there as a neutral. They're not that team isn't in our league anymore. I could just turn up and watch the game. But I think, obviously, one team's in the SFL, 3 teams are in our league. Who knows what the future holds for them? I mean, there's more teams in the league that are doing great things. Like, you got the likes of Olympia that, there are only representative left in the London Cup, for example. You've got the vets teams, which is obviously the main reason why I've come here today to talk to you. I think we're guaranteed a team in the semi-final. We've got Trent Park, Casuals, and Ivy Leaf, they're all playing against each other in the quarters. So we're guaranteed a team in the semi-finals, which is fantastic to see. So, and obviously some of them are competing in the Surreys and stuff like that. So yeah, I think. Listen, Highgate's not my problem anymore. Hasn't been for a while. It's the league's been my main focus, and the league was still my main focus when I was involved in Highgate, to be honest with you. So yeah, I mean that's down to them. That sounds like one thing I do not miss is running a team on a Sunday morning, because I used to run the Highgate third team, it's just. Yeah, not for me. Waking up, having to deal with, people saying that they can't make it and all of that sort of jazz. Nah. Now I just get messages from clubs saying, "Oh, is our pitch playable?" And I'm like, I'm not a weatherman. Go do your pitch inspection.
I love that. Briefly, what's your opinion about the SFL?
I think I went on a. What are they called on Twitter or X?
Is it a space?
Yeah, space. I went on a space and gave my opinion on it. I said, look, listen, if the best teams want to get together and create a league, I'm all for it. I'm all for progressive stuff. Like the SFL have given me a format for the vets. Like I replicated that. So like without that and going to that playoff final at Bromley, I think it was the Wall versus Under the Radar, which, by the way, was a great game of football, a very, very good game of football. I don't know what the future holds for them. Obviously, they're just, I don't really have a contact at the league like I do with Southern Sunday and Westford and stuff like that. So yeah, it's an interesting concept. I mean, for me, the lack of league games doesn't work for me personally, but it seems to work for them. They're all happy. They're all there. Some of them are doing well in nationals and county cups and stuff, which is what they essentially wanted it for. They didn't want You know, they didn't want to have double headers and stuff like that because they was behind on league fixtures, from what I understand. Some of them had done all they could do. Like take Highgate, for example. Like, I think they won our Prem. I think it was something like 5 out of the last 6 years or something. Yeah. You know, they won our Roger Jones Challenge Cup, which is our challenge cup that all teams sort of go on. They won that, you know, similar sort of records, you know, I think 3 years on the bounce. So like when you can't, it's good to go and get a challenge and elsewhere. And I you know, speaking to the management from the Highgate team that went to the SFL, they basically just wanted to go there because they felt like the only credit they were getting for what they were doing was from the Barnet League, and they weren't getting it from the wider grassroots community. So they went there, and basically, like, whether it happens or not, it's, you know, it's nice to watch as a neutral. They said that they want to go and bring the trophy from south but home to north. So good luck to them if that's what they want to do. You know, like I said, at the end of the day, we wasn't massively impacted. We had 3 teams still left in the league. Obviously, moved some teams up, and it, you know, from a neutral perspective, it was nice. It's nice. We've got Olympia that are, you know, they've sort of ended up running away with it. But regardless, someone else was going to win the league other than Highgate. Mm-hmm. And we had AFC Oakwood break that duct a couple of years ago, where they beat Highgate to the league. And it's nice. You don't want to see the same teams winning things. You know, as a committee member, running cup finals with your colleagues. You know, we had it at a presentation evening this year. Like, Highgate got up and they collected like 5 trophies and cups between their 3 to 4 teams. You don't want that. You want everyone to goes back to my point earlier. You want everyone to have a chance at winning something. So yeah. Okay.
Vets. Let's talk about vets.
Vets. That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for.
So you have 2 divisions. You have a East and West side league. First and foremost, why did you decide to add a vets league? And literally, what is it that excites you about vets now that it didn't a couple of years ago?
So we had, like, before my time on the committee, we had a vets league from 2013 to 2017, 18, I want to say. Those teams, for one reason or another, went to another league. So the vets never really got touched again. And then I had conversations with people about starting a vets team. We could, obviously, naturally, you have teams that are ready to go into vets. So we've got a team called FC Trent Park. They won one of our cups a couple of years ago. Got to another cup final last year. And they were ready to sort of they wanted to keep their first team, but they also wanted to add a vets team. And they've gone on and done exactly that. So we had, like, some of the teams that had left to go to this other league wanted to come back. You know, they were interested in, you know, probably a league that, you know, they'd heard was a bit more modern, and, you know, the way we run things is a bit different to other leagues. Well, yeah, it's nice. We had AFC Muswell Hill and FC Trent Park, who added a vets team this year. They've also got their first teams in Div 3 and Div 1, but they sort of expanded into that. And yeah, like, just from conversations from there, and then so we got the Eastern Division up and running. I think it was, you know, it got going with 8 teams in the end. We had 10, but 2 dropped out, which always happens. And then I was contacted by a guy called Blue Charles from Shibu Stars, and he basically said, "Our vets league's folded. Would you let us? Would you be interested in setting up like a West London sort of vets division, I suppose?" And I said, yeah, no problem. So we got going with 5 teams to begin with, and then over the course of the season we've had other teams approach to join, and how they've caught up now is through double headers, because naturally at the end, like, given the concept of the playoffs, it's a lot more for people to play for. Like, say, even if you can see someone's already won the league, all you've got to do is qualify for the playoffs, and technically you're in for winning the biggest trophy. It's nice winning the league, and it's like I said, it's gonna be run exactly like the NBA or the NFL or whatever, in the sense that you have the Western teams on one side, the Eastern teams on one side, and the best from both will meet in the middle. So that's how it all came around. I think people sort of bought into the concept. You know, people wanted more games. Some didn't. You know, so we let some teams opt out of doing the cups. Some teams just wanted league games. So one team said, "Oh, we want to play every other week. We want to have a week off, play 2 weeks, have a week off." And the caveat to that was, well, obviously, if your game gets postponed, then the third week you're going to have to play. No problem. And I think it's just about being a bit more flexible. Like I looked before I came here, like we've got like 800 players, you know, vets appropriate, signed to play across our 2 divisions. And that's a massive, you know, I'm 30 now, so I'm a few years away from vets. But that's a massive thing for people to be able to go out with their mates, play football. You know, a lot of the clubs have like clubhouses and stuff like that, so you know, a bit of food put on, drinks and stuff. It's a completely different vibe. You know, there's one team in our league, London Lions. They actually just want to play football, just want to play football with their mates. And like I said, like it's competitive. We've got 4 teams in the vets, in the Middlesex vets quarters. So FC Trent Park Vets for their first year, quarterfinals is decent. West London Casuals, Ivy Leaf, and I think London Lions. So, and then obviously we've got Shibu that have got quite far in the London. So yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see that provision coming through. You know, vets is certainly one. You know, it's a lot of hard work because it's, you know, different to, you know, the established league, I suppose. But hopefully it'll get to a point where it just sort of runs itself and it ticks over.
Are you looking for more teams, more divisions? What's the?
I think I'd like to keep it Eastern and Western personally. If it was down to me, obviously, like I say, it's a committee decision. I like the format we've got of playoffs. I think that works quite well. And yeah, like listen, like it's we're always open to taking on new teams. If anyone wants to apply to join, then contact us on Instagram, normally in the DMs, or on the website there's an application form. But yeah, we're always open to taking on new teams. I mean, we was messed around a little bit by a few vets teams that they were joining and they weren't, and that happens a lot. But I think when you're starting something off, people fear the unknown a little bit. So one thing we did with the Eastern Division teams, so we took them all out to dinner, like the manager, secretary of all teams. The league laid on a spread. We had a good chat around the table. Everyone aired out their, you know, what they expected from the league, what they wanted it to be, and most of them will say that we've delivered. And I think going back to that customer experience piece that I spoke about earlier with you, that's key. All people want is to be heard. You know, even if you don't do what they say straight away or ask straight away, at least you're open to engaging. And then the Western, for example, they wanted a stipulation that you could have a couple of over 30s in the squad because their squads are a bit light. So they're allowed, I think it's 3 over 30s in the matchday squads. The Eastern Division, the goalkeeper can be 30, for example. So, you know, I think it was just going with what people wanted. Yeah, I think in a nutshell, that's mainly it.
So, do you think so? You know, having like that rule of having over 30. There's going to be probably some teams that may want to enter the London Vets Cup.
Yeah.
That's going to be an issue, right, for like those teams?
No, because I think they have all entered them. So I think they know that there's got to be 35s when they enter.
Okay.
That. So I think within the league, you know, the confines of the league, that there's that flexibility with that. But when you do an external cup, you've got to abide by their competition rules. So, for example, obviously there's 3 30s allowed in the over 30s in the Western, right? But there's only 1 allowed in the Eastern. When they meet in the cup, it's only 130. So the Eastern sort of takes, not priority, but it makes more sense to go with the lower amount. And everyone was happy with that. But that was laid out at the first meeting with the Eastern teams. You got to remember, obviously, the Western was an added bonus to provide football to a demographic that wanted it. But the Eastern were our bread and butter. They're like, you know, some of them were with us when we did the Vets before. They left because they weren't happy. But hopefully we've proved this year, you know, we've been on track with fixtures. I think a lot of the complaints was, like some leagues will just allow you to postpone a game if you ain't got enough players, you know, whereas we've been like, no, you've got to play. And if you need a week off, request it, or we can work with you. So yeah, I think that's key. Transparency is, you know, like we've got a club admin WhatsApp group with all 91 teams in it, managers, secretaries, whatever. And every now and then I'll put out a poll. Like, do you want your game film this week? What do you think we should do for next year? Send me some rule change proposals, and everything's on the table. Then you've rather than waiting all year, you get to an AGM and then everyone puts their hands up and complains about what they're not happy with. You're an open book. If you've got something you want to ask, you can. And I think that helps because you can make ad hoc decisions as the season rolls that you can identify a problem or an issue and fix it. And then the teams are happy. So, yeah.
Why do you think there's a stigma of vets football? And actually, what are you doing? And actually, what can I do and other people do to actually break down that stigma?
Oh, good question. I think, obviously, we film games. So we've filmed a few vets games. And I think people have seen, it's actually some decent football being played. Or, we had one team, they've got like a connection to Ian Wright. He was down at one of their games, West London Casuals, not long ago. Like the captain or the manager had a photo with him, I think vets football is a lot more popular than people think it is, but I think it's not advertised enough. Like, I know leagues that have tried to get vets divisions off the ground and they just haven't been able to do it. So for us to do two divisions in one season was incredible. It was a lot of hard work. But yeah, stigma wise, I don't think it's necessarily like Dave from the pub that just wants to go around 2-footing people and breaking legs anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like probably had that stigma attached to it. Now there's I went and watched the game. Two of our top teams in the Eastern Division, London Lions and Continental 58 Vets, and it was a good game of football. Like a very good thing. And the other thing, again, everything links in. We don't put the elderly refs on the games. Okay. We put decent refs on the games, because we try and spread the load, and I think that's a massive. I think a lot of the complaints was that you're basically getting a referee that's turning up and standing in the centre circle in some vets games because it's not held with the same. It's not taken as seriously maybe as the open age stuff, but we've knocked that on the head. We've put like some of our younger refs on the games, or newer qualified refs, because they'll keep up with play, they'll get from box to box, and I think that's been a real big thing for us. Identifying that you put good refs on good games, or refs that will at least make an effort, then the nature of the game is it will flow. So yeah, I mean, stigma wise, we've had a few people this year going, I can't wait for vets. And I think that's the mindset we need to get into now. That it's a bit like the pathway from youth to adult doesn't really exist as well as it could do. By creating that pathway of open age to vets once you reach a certain age. And listen, obviously the Eastern voted on only having 130 and it being the goalkeeper, but for the Western, that's brilliant because we all went to school, right? There's when you're in year 8 or whatever, you had mates that are in year 10 and year 11. At the end of the day, some of your friends are playing vets. You want to go and play with them. So it opens that door of, participation and inclusion and all of that jazz that allows people to play with their friends ultimately within the confines of the rules. Don't think there's much marginal difference between your body at 30 and your body at 35, if I'm honest with you. Someone just made the decision that 35 was a vet's age. So yeah, I think just sort of adapting and being willing to look at options helps. And
it's kind of really important for like men, at 30, 35 to be still active as well.
100%. Like I'm finding it. Like I lost like a load of weight in lockdown. Like really getting fit and trim and all of that. And like I've made a conscious effort recently to want to get back to some sort of, especially now that I'm injured, I'm playing 5 and 6 aside, but I don't envision that I'll be able to play an 11 aside game again, but just purely because your leg's more likely to go playing on grass pitches and stuff like that. But I've noticed like it's more difficult to shift the weight, and it's nothing better than crossing them lines. Even like I find on a 5 aside, like I've signed up to a scheme called Man v Fat, which I play on a Friday night, and it's all about weight loss and go and play that every Friday. They weigh you beforehand, and it's a really good initiative. I'd recommend anyone going and having a look at that in their local club. That's helped me shift like 5-6 kilos since October, which is not the biggest amount, but it's you know, certainly lighten the load. And I think there's the mental health benefits that we've spoken about already, that, you know, like after a long tough day at work and then week at work, and then you go into, you know, soft plays and stuff on a Saturday for your kid's birthday party. All anyone still wants to hang on to is that Sunday morning, you know, because I think a lot of people I speak to, you asked me about my thoughts about Saturday football earlier, and I don't really have an insight because I've never really been involved with it, but the 3 o'clock kickoffs kill you. You know, so Sunday mornings, 10:30, you know, go and play football with your mates, you know, win, lose or draw, go home, have a drink and watch the football after, whatever. I think it's massive. I think it's hugely understated, the importance of participating in a team sport, you know, and being in that changing room and having that rapport and that banter with your mates. I think it's massive. I think it's definitely something that's overlooked.
Yeah, and you kind of spoke openly, and literally thank you for doing that regarding your own journey regarding your kind of mental and physical health. What's kind of been the most important element for you to actually get through whatever difficult time you was getting through at that particular moment?
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you, the league. Like I remember during COVID, I was working on like a manor house estate up in Hatfield, and just doing like gardening, weeding, etc., etc. And I remember like the conversations about PPG and whether or not we were going to finish cups and stuff like that, and checking in. The league kept me busy. It saved me during COVID, like, because like everyone, I was lucky. I was working outdoors. I managed to secure a job, you know, working. Not everyone was so fortunate, but it's been one. And then obviously when I, like, you know, suffered with like some of my own personal mental health problems, probably a couple of years ago now. Obviously, first and foremost, like my kids got me through it. You know, like that was always the light at the end of the tunnel. Having a supportive partner helped too. But the league, like I 2019 February, I joined the league. January 2020, I became the league secretary. So you got to imagine, like I'm 31 now. So at that stage, I was 27, youngest league secretary in London, largest league, one of the largest leagues in London, and you're about to lead an organisation through a global pandemic. But I think I kept it simple. I checked in with clubs, and they'd be like, "Oh, I've not heard from anyone else," because people dealt with it in their own ways. But I just threw myself into the league, and you know, if you ever look at the YouTube channel of the league, it was created in I think May 2020 because I had all these ideas going on of what I wanted to do with the committee and the league and push them across. And the league's been massive. Listen, it's a pain at times. Takes up a lot of time. There's a lot of unappreciation. There's a lot of ridiculous comments out there, you know, and you get an element of negativity from that does impact you. People going out there saying, "Oh, teams are only winning because of you as an individual," and I'm like, that's not the case. Have you ever thought that maybe you just wasn't good enough to win the league? That's the fact. But the league has certainly helped me through the good, the bad, and the ugly. No doubt about it. And I think everyone, you know, anyone listening that's thinking, "Oh, like to be involved in a league or a club or a team, you don't have to be what I do. You don't have to be the main point of contact for all teams or fixture secretary or referee secretary. From a team perspective, I can guarantee you now, the club secretary or the team manager would just be happy with someone that collected the money in, or someone that just put the nets up, or someone, you know, that helped them send the nudge. "Oh, come on, lads, confirm whether or not you're available this week," because all them little things, they help and they lighten the load. And I promise you, it's one of the most rewarding things in the world to be involved with grassroots football. Obviously, I've played, I've managed, I've been a secretary of my own team that folded, I've been a league secretary, I've sort of gone through the motions of it all. And yeah, like I definitely think from a mental health perspective, it's always been like you can always find solace when you cross them white lines, or I don't cross them anymore, but sat behind a keyboard doing some
keyboard warrior.
Yeah. But there's a lot of them out there. Like, you know, like there's some on Twitter that will say, "Oh yeah, Highgate, for example, they're only doing well because they've got John Eager on the board." But I'm like, I've not been a part of the club for 2 years. and like I just said, have you ever thought that maybe you didn't win just because you weren't good enough? Because I can promise you now, the referee turned up and just refereed. And some of the ones that make the comments, they're like, they've had a penalty and missed it, and I'm like, speaks volumes. If you want to use me as a scapegoat, carry on, crack on. But at the end of the day, I think people need to take a long, hard look at themselves, because some of the stuff that's said on socials is absolute nonsense. And I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't read it before and it hasn't. I've not been fuming, because I've been. But I think that comes with a gig a little bit. When you're a league secretary of a league as big as ours, you've got to learn to take things on the chin.
Yeah, I'd love to. For you to give me one big or controversial statement about Vets football.
I think, in what sense? In what sense?
The floor is up to you. I mean, it could be a good thing. It could be something, it could be thought-provoking. It could be something that you've learned that other people may not have known about. But
yeah,
I want something big.
I mean, it was like, obviously it's certainly, especially with like the Western Division teams that we've got. They don't really know me. I don't really know them. I sort of did it to just give a group of people a home for playing football, basically. And the truth is, and I've said this to them before, like, the season would have been 10 times easier without the Western Division. Okay, like, if I'm honest, and I've said it to them openly in like the WhatsApp group before, like, because the Eastern Division teams, where they've had teams that have been in our league before, they understand the structure, they understand the policies, they understand the procedures. Got one team in the Western Division that just seems to think that we're all about making money, but in reality is all we ask for is basic admin. So we got rid of team sheets a few years ago. All you have to, you create a WhatsApp group, add the ref, add the opposition, 15 minutes before kickoff, you send in your 16. So like you would do a team sheet with numbers, that's it. That's your team sheet, essentially. And if you don't do that, you get fined. And if you don't go on full time afterwards and upload it and do your refs marks and who scored goals, etc., you get fined, and rightfully so if you're not following the admin. But I think some of them struggle to come to grips with that. I think, it doesn't matter how much you simplify things for teams, they're still going to find something to moan about. And I think I've had a lot of that from the Western Division teams throughout the season. But I think now we're at the sort of, obviously there's 7 teams in there because we had one fold. We're at almost the end game of the season a little bit, where we nearly know who's in the playoffs. It's getting to the exciting end. People are, having really good conversations with some of them. So on that take, if you're a Vets team in general, not just the Vets Western Division teams in our league, I would just be a bit more appreciative of the committee and the hard work that goes into it. Like, for example, the Western Division, it's predominantly West London teams that they play at Brunel, etc., etc. So it's hard, like, we don't have a referee pool over there. So we're putting in harder work to find referees and pitches. But I do think, at the end of the day, as long as there's an opportunity to provide grassroots football for anyone, I'm all for it. I will not turn it down. So, like I said, we're in a position now where if we get through this season, there's someone that's potentially going to take it on and sort of it'll run in the league, but it'll have its own dedicated committee member, and it's a lot of trial and error. And again, there's some brilliant football being played in that league. Like I said, some of that 2 are in Middlesex quarterfinals. Shibu obviously in the London Cup still. So yeah, that'd be my controversial take on Vets football, I suppose. Like, just have a bit of appreciation and understanding, like, because I want to grow it.
Yeah.
Like, you asked me earlier, would you take on more teams? Well, we're on 7 now. I'd like to get to 10. And you have your traditional 18-game season. And I'm all for teams entering as many cups as they want. They want to, teams want to just play football. I'm all for that. Like I said, I care more about the cups than anything. So yeah, like I said, we've had a few teams join mid-season, which has been great, which has boosted the numbers up, which means that the division's in for a good finish. And a lot of hard work goes into it. Like Blue, the guy that initially approached me, he basically gets on top of it as much as possible. But I think yeah, there's definitely an element of, at times it's felt like a bit of unappreciation. But I feel, like I said, we're getting there now. There's some real good people, real good teams that like I said, they just want to play football in a controlled environment. You know, just obviously they're not used to having things done the way we do, I suppose.
So going on to, of course, the East and the West, do you think that the Barnet League, as in like the Vets West, is treading on toes regarding another Vets League in West?
No, not all. So obviously, leagues are based where they're based. So obviously, Continental 58 and London Turkish Masters Vets are both North London teams. I think they left another league to join our Eastern Division because it was closer to them. Now, obviously, there's a reason that the 5 teams came to us to start a league rather than joining an existing league in the first place. And then there's another reason why teams wanted to join us mid-season and be a part of a new league. I will not say no. Look, listen, there's teams in our league that play in another league and they play in our league. So people that want to play football can play football. I will never stand in the way of that. I hate anti-football behaviour. We've all had them teams that will be like, I don't know, the grass pitch gets called off at 10:30. I can get a Astro at 11. I don't want to play on Astro. So the game gets postponed and it rolls on. We've all had that experience before in football. I'm down for, as long as football can be played, it should be played. And like I said, there's a reason why the 5 teams from the league that folded approached the Barnet League to join us, and then a reason why the additional 2 or 3 teams joined. You know, everyone's entitled to run their own league. Like I said earlier, there's 4 North London leagues. You could argue that we're all treading on each other's toes, but we're not, because we've all got our own niches. You know, the Maccabi League does what it does, the Turkish League does what it does, the Edmonton League does what it does, and we do what we do. And it's similar to what we do. You know, the Barnet League with the Vets. Well, all I was interested in was adding a provision for people that wanted to play football. So that's what we've done. You know. So.
And why should teams join the Barnet League? And what are your contact details?
I won't give up my personal details because I've made that mistake already, and most of the teams have got my mobile number. Look, listen, why you should join us? We film games, match highlights. You know, you've sort of covered that. We're modern, we're approachable. A lot of the stuff's done on WhatsApp. We only really email if it needs to be formal. A lot of communication goes out in a club admin group, which is easy for people to check. But I'd say the filming of games is a massive highlight. Ilyas has done a great job over the last few years of building that up. You know, even like some neutrals. We had the North London Athletic versus SE Dons game filmed. And like a lot of people that watched the Dons were like, oh, like they're using their government names sort of thing. Like, some of the comments on there were quite funny. Like, so it's just a different niche, a different aspect of what people want. Most teams will end up getting filmed, you know, across the season, which is great. Yeah, just like you know, it's not very admin heavy compared to some other leagues, but every league's got their own niche. Every league's got a way they run things. Obviously, you know, if you're a vets team that is West London based that's interested, then feel free to, you know, you can email me at secretary@barnetsundayleague.co.uk, or, you know, drop us a message on any of the socials. There's a submission form on the website as well. Obviously, if you're an Eastern Division Vets team or Open Age team, then get in touch as well. You know, I'm open to growing the league. As you know, I'd be open to doing, you know, development cups for under 18s. You know, if we or women's cups, etc., etc. Like if we've got the capacity to do it and the interest, it's something that we'll do. I think you know, as one of the largest leagues in London, I think we're the second largest Sunday league, behind Southern Sunday and in front of Westphal. We've got a responsibility locally. Like I want to talking to the committee at the minute about doing some bursary stuff where sixth form students will pay for their referee courses, or, you know, some of the local schools will like buy them a kit and some bibs and some equipment that they need and stuff like that, because, you know, like I think you've got to do your piece for the community, and that's how it all ties in. So yeah, anyone interested in getting involved in the league, like we're looking for volunteers too. If you want to join the committee, get in touch. Any more hard-hitting questions from you?
No, listen, I mean, again, I just want to say that all of your details will be in the description as well. So,
Right, okay.
you know, again, anyone that's kind of looking to join. I just want to say that the Barnet Sunday League, the only thing and again, this is literally what I love about what you do, blue and gold, or, you know, that kind of logo. Like, every time I see it, like, I know what it's about. And, you know, if I can look at something without even reading it, that's when I know someone's doing a good job.
Yeah. I think there was a thing a few years ago, like it was like a Harry Potter poster, and it was like the end is near, but it didn't have anything to do with Harry Potter, but everyone just knew what it was because of the significance of the brand. But I've got to give a guy called Sohill Tavern a massive shout out, and my predecessor Alex Clayton. They worked on the rebrand prior to me joining the committee, and I was involved in it as I joined. But the website, the branding, that's down to Sohill designed it all. Alex was very much the figurehead behind it, the website, etc. And he did a smashing job. We pulled like stuff from the historic Barnet League and logo and stuff like that. But it is one, like, I'm not wearing it today, but we've got a navy uniform, like league uniform, like jackets and tracksuits and stuff for like cup final days, and it just looks crisp. It looks really professional. And I think that's another, I think, you know, you asked why join the Barnet League. I think that's another thing we're very professional in what we do. The main cup we do live, so it's fully transparent. The divisional, obviously we run so many cups, we can't do them all live, but just little things like that. We go above and beyond to create, I say this a lot, a memorable experience for our clubs. But look, listen, I've always said this to people. I'm here for as long as the clubs want me. At the end of the day, I'm a custodian. Someone thinks they can come along and do a better job, then they're more than welcome to, you know, have a crack at it. But I think for now, most of the clubs are happy. I'm sort of, you know, content with where I am. We've built a real good committee in the last couple of years. We've got some real good teams as well. You know, the teams make the league what it is. And I think especially at, you know, maybe FA county level, that gets forgotten sometimes. The teams are what make the league what it is, and then without the teams, there is no grassroots. So, like, a massive thank you to all the teams in the Barnet League that, you know, past and present, that, you know, continue to make it one of what I hope is one of the best in the country, if not one of the best in London, at least at what we do. Because without them, it wouldn't be possible.
John, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. You are a trailblazer. You are a disruptor. And again, you know, we've been meaning to have this conversation for like months. And again, thank you for traveling down. One thing I want to say as well, you actually did text me and say, so what should I wear? And I said, smart casual. And then you come in shorts.
I turned up to the AGM last year in like our uniform, which was a quarter zip and shorts. But I wear shorts all year round. But yeah, listen, obviously, thanks for having me. Obviously, it was a bit of a trek from where I live, which is Crawley. So for those of you that are listening, I don't actually live in North London anymore. I run the league sort of remotely and rely on people that are a bit more local to do more of underground stuff. So since COVID, I've basically travelled down to do anything to do with the league, whether that's cup finals, etc., etc. So got a nice little hour and a half journey back. Might grab myself a McDonald's on the way home to Breeze's buying. But no, listen, thank you for having me on. Like I said, you and a select few others in this sort of, you know, niche market of grassroots, sort of shining the light on it, are one of the few people that I would, you know, feel comfortable having a conversation without it being cropped together for a bit of clickbait. But look, listen, I'm really excited for, you know, the business end of the season, you know, see who wins the leagues. We've got a couple of leagues that are potentially going to be wrapped up in the next couple of weeks, you know, because we've been so ahead on the fixtures, because we've been proactive with moving games if they've been off and whatever. The cup finals, obviously, I can't wait to see how our teams do in the county cups. We've got loads still in action in them. The vets, I can't wait to see how the first ever playoff sort of ends. So yeah, like, you have to get yourself down to a game. Look, listen, anyone that's got any questions about the Barnet Sunday League, I'm personally on LinkedIn. If there's anyone out there that would be interested in, you know, sponsoring one of the competitions or getting involved with the league, then reach out. I'm on there. yeah, it's been a great conversation, mate.
Yeah.
I got warned beforehand to behave myself. Hopefully, I've done exactly that.
You know what? You've done absolutely fine. And again, like one thing that I want to say, keep being a disruptor.
In a positive way.
In a positive way.
I wasn't sure it was positive.
Thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see everyone next week.